in the studio by Kangarlou. She is a global affairs journalist and author of The Heartbeat of Iran. Welcome to the studio. So much to discuss. And what is your take on this war of words that we're hearing from Iran, from Donald Trump? Why now? And what do you feel is different from what we were discussing a few weeks ago with regards to the protesters? Clearly, there seems to be now... He's not talking about the protesters, it's the nuclear power plants.
Absolutely. I think we're seeing a huge contrast. In the beginning, the first rhetoric that was made from Washington, Donald Trump came out and said, protesters, come on the streets, we are here to help. And I think when you speak with Iranians in Iran, as I've been speaking with, despite the internet blackout, which, by the way, is ongoing, they feel abandoned and they feel that it's irresponsible for the most powerful country in the world to say they're going to help us. But right now, in ways, abandoning us and playing with words. You mentioned the nuclear file, and I think that's important because right now what seems to be the case is Donald Trump either wants to make a deal with Iran over its nuclear program and also include Iran's missile file in there as well, something that Iran was a non-negotiable for Iran. And somehow the people are abandoned. Thousands of people have been killed. The death toll is extremely high. Thousands are injured and thousands are also detained. And I think the biggest question that I have right now is whether we will see a deal between the Trump administration and the Iranian government, or we see a military strike. Where are the Iranian people in all of this? People who paid the highest price with their lives on the streets.
And Tara, that point about them feeling abandoned, and also John mentioned that does the US have a moral obligation to go and help them? Because Donald Trump, of course, he promised help is on the way, help is on the way. That help, we didn't know exactly what help meant, never came. But do they want foreign intervention? Do they want this US intervention, this huge armada that he says is on the way, massive armada?
You know, that's a nuanced question because, again, when you speak with Iranians in Iran, because of everything they've lost, right, and the darkness, and I'm quoting this word darkness that they're living in, they want clarity. They want to know what's coming next. I spoke to a businessman earlier, and he said, the ball is still in the air. It's rolling. We need to know what's happening next because we want to move on with our lives. We know what our grievances are. We know we don't want the establishment as is. We also don't want foreign intervention, but we know something has to give, and there has to be something from Washington to put an end to all of this. When you say moral obligation, I think it's important to point out what Secretary of State Marco Rubio said also in the Senate hearing. He said, no one knows who is going to lead Iran after the supreme leader. Nobody can give an answer as to what will happen the day after the Iranian regime falls. And I think that's an important statement there. And I think this lack of moral obligation, as well as lack of policy and lack of plan, is something worrisome. But if you speak with people on the ground in Iran, they want an end to the bloodshed. And in the words of a young teacher, he said, we just want a normal life, and we're being deprived of that.
Absolutely. Back to what you mentioned there about Marco Rubio. This is not Maduro. This is not Venezuela. Do you think that the US administration is looking at the Iranian regime and Iran through the same optics?
It might, because we don't know what their plan is. Are they looking to
we can't doubt them, right? Because we've seen them attack Iran as they did in June and do what they did to Maduro.
They attack Iran. They say we took out the nuclear, arsenal, but then they say no, there's some there. We still have to attack to put a lid to it. So I think there's a lot of questions. They might do a surgical attack, take whether it's the supreme leader or other figures out. But then what comes next? Because if anyone looks at Iran closely and understands Iran, would know that the IRGC is an extremely complex and powerful apparatus. What are you going to do to the rest of this system? Have they done back-channel talks? Do they have someone in mind? So we don't know what's the day after going to look like. But what we do know right now is that millions of Iranian people are extremely wary of the situation, and they're in mourning because they know that ultimately they're the one who are paying the price.
And just to go back to the point about what could happen if there is a strike, because he says the armada, the massive armada, is heading to Iran, and I feel that I think the world feels, not me, that we have to take Donald Trump at his word when he says this. What are they thinking? Is it Reza Pahlavi? We heard him a few weeks ago saying that he will come back. He's ready. Is this the Delcy Rodriguez equivalent? Is that what
I think in the earlier days, he was louder, and it seemed that he might potentially meet with the president, but for whatever reason, that has not happened. And the talks of him going in has sort of quieted down. And so I think that the fact that the Trump administration is still putting forth the idea of some sort of a deal, I do wonder if there are back-channel talks. I wonder, because yesterday the Iranian president, Pezeshkian, spoke with Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, and they don't talk often on the phone. And I think there might be conversations that we are not very well aware of. And it's a wait-and-see game. I think at this moment we don't know what Donald Trump's plan is. Again, going back to the example of Venezuela, I think if we look closely, it was a surgical removal. Maduro is out, but the entire system is intact. And fundamentally, it comes down to what the United States is getting out of Venezuela in terms of deals and finances. Is that what they want from Iran? We have to wait and see.
There are so many questions. Such a very tense moment. Thank you so much for bringing clarity to this. Tareq Kangarlou, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.